Question 1. From the perspective of maintaining optimal comfort parameters, Mr. Ramirez notices occupants in a commercial office complain about intermittent dry throat and skin irritation, despite the HVAC system maintaining 70°C temperature. The relative humidity (RX) is measured at 18%. What should Mr. Ramirez recommend to improve occupant comfort and indoor air quality (IAQ) while adhering to ASHRAE guidelines? A. Increase the mechanical ventilation rate to reduce concentrations. B. Lower the temperature set point to increase relative humidity naturally. C. Install humidification equipment to raise to the recommended 40–60% range. D. Increase air velocity to enhance evaporative cooling on occupant skin. Answer. Correct answer. C. Install humidification equipment to raise to the recommended 40–60% range. Explanation. ASHRAE Standard 55 and 62.1 recommend maintaining relative humidity between 40–60% to optimize thermal comfort and limit health issues like dry skin and respiratory irritation. At 18% RH, the environment is too dry, which can cause membrane irritation and increase susceptibility to respiratory infections. Simply increasing ventilation, they won't RH and may exacerbate dryness if outdoor air is dry. Lowering temperature B reduces absolute moisture and does not improve RET. Increasing air velocity D may increase perceived dryness. Proper humidification balances comfort and controls microbial growth, aligning with HVACR best practices. Question 2. Given the circumstances that Chen's facility uses packaged rooftop AHU with poorly sealed ductwork and frequent occupant complaints of musty odors and allergies, what should be the priority corrective action to mitigate biological contaminant spread within the HVAC system? A. Increase outdoor air intake to dilute indoor pollutants. B. Conduct thorough duct sealing and cleaning to prevent microbial growth. C. Upgrade the filtration to higher MERV rating without addressing duct leakage. D. Decrease return air proportion to reduce contaminant recirculation. Answer. Correct answer. B. Conduct thorough duct sealing and cleaning to prevent microbial growth. Explanation. Poorly sealed ductwork allows infiltration of dust and moisture, creating ideal conditions for mold growth, leading to musty odors and allergens. ASHRAE 62.1 emphasizes controlling microbial growth by maintaining clean, sealed duct systems. Simply increasing outdoor air may introduce humidity or pollutants if outdoor air is not properly conditioned. Upgrading filtration C without duct sealing does not address contamination sources inside ducts. Decreasing return air D without sealing may create pressure imbalances and worsen infiltration. Proper ductwork maintenance is fundamental for biological contaminant control. Question 3. When analyzing ventilation strategies in a recently renovated school gym, Mr. Patel observes CO levels frequently exceed 1500 ppm during peak occupancy. According to ASHRAE 62.1 and OSHA guidelines, what is the best ventilation approach to improve IAQ while minimizing energy consumption? They implement demand-controlled ventilation, using CO sensors to modulate outdoor air intake. B. Maximize fixed outdoor air intake at all times to reduce CO buildup. C. Increase mechanical exhaust without altering supply air volume. D. Reduce occupancy levels to naturally control CO concentrations. Answer. Correct answer. Implement demand-controlled ventilation, D using CO sensors to modulate outdoor air intake. Explanation. ASHRAE 62.1 recommends ventilation rates that correlate with occupancy. D dynamically adjusts outdoor air intake based on real-time CO measurements, improving IAQ while conserving energy by reducing unnecessary ventilation during low occupancy. Constant maximum outdoor air B wastes energy. Exhaust alone C can depressurize spaces and cause unconditioned air infiltration. Reducing occupancy D is impractical. D aligns ventilation with actual occupant demand, optimizing IAQ and energy efficiency. Question 4. In light of recent developments, Mr. Martinez is tasked with designing an IAQ monitoring plan for a healthcare facility. The facility wants to track both particulate matter and VOx to comply with OSHA and EPA standards. Which instrumentation combination should he prioritize for comprehensive IAQ diagnostics? A. Thermal imaging camera and moisture meter. B. MERV-rated filter inspection and pressure differential meter. C. particulate matter counter and portable VOC gas detector. D. Carbon dioxide monitor and electronic air cleaner. Answer. Correct answer. C. Particulate matter counter and portable VOC gas detector. Explanation. Comprehensive IAQ monitoring for particulates and VOCs requires specific detection equipment. Particulate counters measure PM.5 and PM concentrations crucial for respiratory health, while portable VOC detectors identify harmful chemical emissions addressing OSHA PALS and EPIC guidelines. Thermal imaging and moisture meters assist in moisture control but not VOC or particle quantification. Filter inspection and pressure meters B are maintenance tools but don't directly quantify contaminants. Co-monitors D measure ventilation adequacy but not particulates or VOCs. Prioritizing direct measurement instruments aligns with best IAQ diagnostic practices. Question 5. The primary reason for is Lewis to prioritize source control over ventilation in an office environment with elevated formaldehyde levels is because A. Ventilation increases outdoor pollutant entry, worsening IAQ. B. Source removal or substitution eliminates pollutant generation at the origin, providing more effective IAQ improvement. C. Increasing ventilation alone can cause excessive humidity and discomfort. D. Ventilation systems cannot dilute chemical pollutants effectively. Answer. Correct answer. B. Source removal or substitution eliminates pollutant generation at the origin, providing more effective IAQ improvement. Explanation. Source control is the most effective IAQ strategy per EPA and ASHRAE 62.1 standards because it eliminates pollutants before they enter occupied spaces, reducing exposure risk. Ventilation dilutes contaminants but cannot remove them entirely. Ventilation might introduce outdoor pollutants A, but this is typically manageable with proper filtration. While excessive ventilation may impact humidity C, it is not the primary reason to avoid ventilation. Ventilation does reduce chemical pollutants but is less effective than source removal D. Thus, addressing formaldehyde sources by material substitution or sealing is prioritized. Question 6. Within the framework of assessing particulate matter, Mr. Singh observes that PM.5 concentrations indoors are significantly higher than outdoors in a residential building. Which factors could most likely explain this observation? A. High-efficiency particulate air HEPA filtration installed on the HVAC system. B. Indoor sources such as cooking, smoking, or combustion appliances contributing to fine particles. C. Excessive outdoor air ventilation reducing indoor pollutant buildup. D. Low indoor humidity leading to particle agglomeration. Answer. Correct answer. B. Indoor sources such as cooking, smoking, or combustion appliances contributing to fine particles. Explanation. Indoor PM.5 concentrations higher than outdoor levels typically indicate active indoor sources. Cooking, especially frying, tobacco smoking, and combustion appliances release fine particulate matter which can accumulate without sufficient filtration or ventilation. HEPA filtration A would reduce indoor PM.5, increase it. Excessive outdoor ventilation C would dilute indoor PM levels rather than elevate them. Low humidity D does not cause particle agglomeration. In fact, dry conditions keep particles suspended longer. Identifying indoor source control is critical for particulate matter management. Question 7. Under the assumption that Mr. Walker is evaluating a building's HVAC system where occupants complain of frequent respiratory issues and initial assessment reveals elevated humidity above 70% with poor air circulation, which corrective action would best align with IAQ principles? A. Increase outdoor air intake without addressing humidity control. B. Install dehumidifiers and improve air distribution to maintain RH between 40–60%. C. Reduce air changes per hour to lower energy costs. D. Add UV dermicidal irradiation to the air handling unit without airflow adjustments. Answer. Correct answer. B. Install dehumidifiers and improve air distribution to maintain RH between 40–60%. Explanation. High humidity at 70% promotes mold and dust mite growth, aggravating respiratory conditions. ASHRAE 62.1 and EPA recommend maintaining indoor RH between 40–60% to balance microbial control and occupant comfort. Dehumidification combined with enhanced air distribution prevents stagnant zones and controls moisture effectively. Increasing outdoor air intake alone may worsen humidity if outdoor air is humid. reducing air changes. C. Impedes ventilation and IAQ of the controls biological agents but does not address moisture or airflow issues. Humidity and airflow correction is essential. Question 8. Considering the evidence that electronic air cleaners can reduce certain airborne particles is new and wants to deploy them in a hospital setting, what limitations should she consider according to HVACR IAQ best practices and OSHA guidelines before relying solely on these devices? A. Electronic air cleaners can generate ozone, which is harmful to occupants. B. They effectively remove all gaseous pollutants without need for ventilation. C. They eliminate the need for regular filter replacement in a HES. D. Electronic cleaners provide consistent particulate removal regardless of airflow rates. Answer. Correct answer A. Electronic air cleaners can generate ozone, which is harmful to occupants. Explanation. Electronic air cleaners, e.g. ionizers, the electrostatic precipitators, may produce ozone as a byproduct, which is a respiratory irritant regulated by OSHA and EPA. Their use requires careful assessment of ozone generation and occupant exposure limits. They are less effective for gaseous pollutants, B, and do not replace filtration or ventilation needs. Filter maintenance remains necessary, C, to control particulates in HVAC systems. Their efficiency depends on air and installation. D, therefore, understanding limitations and integrating with other IAQ strategies is critical. Question 9. A common misconception about ventilation rate and occupant density arises when Mr. Davis assumes that increasing ventilation rate indefinitely will proportionally improve IAQ. From a practical standpoint, why is this assumption incorrect in a high occupancy conference room? A. Increasing ventilation rate beyond ASHRAE 62.1 limits has no further effect on CO levels or odors. B. Excessive ventilation can cause drafts, increase energy consumption, and may introduce outdoor pollutants. C. Ventilation rates are fixed and cannot be altered in existing HVAC systems. D. High ventilation rates always reduce humidity, regardless of outdoor conditions. Answer. Correct answer. B. Excessive ventilation can cause drafts, increase energy consumption, and may introduce outdoor pollutants. Explanation. ASHRAE 62.1 sets minimum ventilation rates based on occupancy to balance IAQ and energy use. Beyond those limits, increasing ventilation may cause occupant discomfort from drafts and noise, raise operational costs, and introduce unconditioned outdoor pollutants or humidity if not filled. Conditioned ventilation is not a limitless solution as source control and filtration remain essential. Ventilation can be modulated in many systems. C. Ventilation effects on humidity depend on outdoor air conditions. D. Effective IAQ requires a holistic approach. Question 10. To careful analysis of a commercial kitchen ventilation system is Roberts identifies high concentrations of grease and VOX causing IAQ complaints. Which combination of remediation strategies is most effective in aligning with EPA and OSHA recommendations for such environments? A. Increase supply air volume and reduce exhaust airflow to contain pollutants. B. Implement source capture exhaust hoods with appropriate filtration and increase outdoor air ventilation. C. Use only high MERV filters in ductwork without local exhaust. D. Close off outdoor air intakes to prevent VOC ingress. Answer. Correct answer B. Implement source capture exhaust hoods with appropriate filtration and increase outdoor air ventilation. Explanation. Source capture ventilation, such as commercial kitchen hoods, effectively removes grease, odors, and VOX at the emission point, complying with EPA and OSHA standards. Increasing outdoor air dilutes residual contaminants, reducing exhaust day, worsens pollutant accumulation. Sole reliance on duct filtration C is insufficient due to contaminant concentrations near sources. Closing outdoor air intakes D decreases ventilation and worsens IAQ. Source control plus adequate ventilation provides comprehensive contaminant management. Question 11. Considering the evidence that Mr. Anderson has observed persistent elevated carbon monoxide (CO) levels in a commercial building's indoor air despite proper ventilation rates, what is the best first step to identify and mitigate the CO source according to IAQ best practices? A. Increase mechanical ventilation rates to dilute the CO concentration. B. Inspect and maintain all combustion appliances and fuel burning equipment for leaks or incomplete combustion. C. Upgrade air filtration systems to HEPA filters to remove CO particles. D. Seal all windows and doors to prevent outdoor co-infiltration. Answer. Correct answer. B. Inspect and maintain all combustion appliances and fuel burning equipment for leaks or incomplete combustion. Explanation. Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas produced by incomplete combustion. Proper IAQ management requires identifying and repairing sources. First, especially combustion appliances, before increasing ventilation. HEPA filters, C, cannot remove gases like CO, and sealing window doors, D, prevent fresh air and worsen CO buildup. While ventilation, A, helps dilute CO, it does not solve the root cause, which is essential to address per OSHA guidelines on indoor combustion safety. Question 12. In terms of HVAC system design, Lopez is evaluating duct pressurization in a multi-zone commercial building. What effect does excessive duct leakage with negative pressure in return ducts have on indoor air quality and building pressure balance? A. It increases the delivery of clean filtered air to occupied zones. B. It causes unfiltered outdoor air infiltration, leading to potential introduction of pollutants and pressure imbalance. C. It improves exhaust ventilation effectiveness by increasing air changes per hour. D. It stabilizes relative humidity by balancing supply and return air volumes. Answer. Correct answer. B. It causes unfiltered outdoor air infiltration, leading to potential introduction of pollutants and pressure imbalance. Explanation. Negative pressure in return ducts due to leaks draws unconditioned, unfiltered air into the system, compromising IAQ by introducing dust allergens or outdoor pollutants. It also disrupts building pressure balance, potentially causing discomfort and infiltration issues. This is against ASHRAE 62-point recommendations for duct integrity. The other options, A, C, D, inaccurately describe consequences of duct leakage. Question 13. Based on the information that a newly installed HVAC system in a school has minimal outdoor air intake and occupants complain of headaches and fatigue, what would be the most appropriate action to comply with ASHRAE 62.1 and improve IAQ? Reduce recirculation of indoor air and increase minimum outdoor air ventilation rates. B. Install additional high-efficiency filters without changing ventilation rates. C. Increase temperature set point to reduce cogeneration indoors. D. Utilize electronic air cleaners exclusively to compensate for low outdoor air intake. Answer. Correct answer. A. Reduce recirculation of indoor air and increase minimum outdoor air ventilation rates. Explanation. Low outdoor air intake leads to accumulation of indoor generated pollutants like CO and VOx, causing symptoms such as headaches and fatigue. ASHRAE 62.1 requires minimum ventilation rates based on occupancy to ensure acceptable IAQ. Increasing outdoor air dilutes contaminants, improving occupant health. While filtration, B, reduces particulates, it doesn't remove gaseous pollutants. Temperature set point, C, has no effect on CO. Electronic air cleaners, D, assist but cannot replace proper ventilation. Question 14. From a practical standpoint, during a mold remediation project at a large office complex, Mr. Jackson is deciding between source removal and encapsulation methods. Which approach should be prioritized and why, in accordance with EPA and IAQ guidelines? A. Encapsulation, because it seals contaminants and prevents exposure without needing removal. B. Source removal, because it eliminates the root cause and prevents future mold growth. C. Increasing ventilation during remediation to dilute airborne spores. D. Installing UV germicidal irradiation as the sole mold control strategy. Answer. Correct answer. B. Source removal, because it eliminates the root cause and prevents future mold growth. Explanation. EPA and IAQ best practices emphasize removing mold-contaminated materials to eliminate sources, as encapsulation only seals contaminants temporarily and may trap moisture. Source removal effectively stops spore generation and growth. Ventilation, C, aids during remediation but does not replace removal. Of the D helps inhibit mold but is supplementary. Addressing moisture and source control is fundamental to successful remediation. Question 15. When evaluating humidifiers' effect on IAQ, Patel notices microbial growth within the humidifier water reservoir. What is the best practice to prevent microbial contamination in humidification systems according to ASHRAE guidelines? A. Use tap water without treatment to avoid chemical exposure. B. Implement routine cleaning, use biocides, and maintain appropriate water quality standards. C. Avoid humidification entirely to eliminate microbial risks. D. Rely on the HVAC system's filtration to remove any microbial contaminants released. Answer. Correct answer B. Implement routine cleaning, use biocides, and maintain appropriate water quality standards. Explanation. Humidifiers can become breeding grounds for microbes if not properly maintained. ASHRAE Standard 62.1 recommends regular cleaning and use of biocides to prevent microbial growth. Tap water may contain minerals and microbes that promote contamination if untreated. A. Avoiding humidification. C. Is impractical where RH control is needed. Filtration alone. D. Does not address source contamination. Maintenance is critical for safe humidification. Question 16. While examining the consequences of improper ventilation in a tightly sealed modern office, Mr. Cooper finds elevated levels of radon gas. Which mitigation strategy aligns best with EPA's guidelines to reduce indoor radon concentrations? A. Increasing natural ventilation by opening windows during the day only. B. Installing sub-slab depressurization systems to prevent radon entry. C. Using activated carbon filters in the HVAC system to absorb radon. D. Relying solely on HVAC filtration to capture radon particles. Answer. Correct answer. B. Installing sub-slab depressurization systems to prevent radon entry. Explanation. Radon is a radioactive gas that enters buildings from soil. EPA recommends active sub-slab depressurization to vent radon before it enters indoor air. Natural ventilation A is inconsistent and insufficient for radon control. Activated carbon filters C can absorb radon progeny but are not standalone solutions. Radon is a gas, so filtration D does not effectively remove it. Sub-slab systems provide reliable, continuous mitigation. Question 17. The fundamental question is, Mr. Kim must design an HVAC ventilation system for a new laboratory where volatile organic compounds VOCs are regularly used. Which design principle best minimizes VOC exposure according to industrial hygiene and HVAC standards? A. Use recirculated air with enhanced filtration to reduce VOCs. B. Implement dedicated exhaust ventilation with local capture hoods near VOC sources. C. Increase general dilution ventilation without local exhaust. D. Rely on electronic air cleaners alone to reduce VOC concentrations. Answer. Correct answer B. Implement dedicated exhaust ventilation with local capture hoods near VOC sources. Explanation. Industrial hygiene principles and ASHRAE guidelines emphasize source capture exhaust for VOCs to minimize occupant exposure. Local hoods capture contaminants before dispersion. Recirculation A. Risk spreading VOCs. Dilution ventilation C. Reduces concentration but is less effective without source capture. Electronic cleaners D. Do not remove VOC gases effectively. Prioritizing source control is the most effective method. Question 18. With respect to ASHRAE Standard 62.1, Mr. Thompson is assessing air change rates at Shin, a commercial gym. If the measured is below recommended minimums, what are the potential health impacts on occupants and what corrective measures should be taken? A. No significant impact. The occupants will adapt naturally. B. Increased risk of co-buildup, odors, and airborne pathogen transmission. Increased ventilation to meet minimum. C. Decreased humidity leading to better respiratory health. Reduced ventilation to save energy. D. Improved energy efficiency and IAQ due to lower air exchange and maintain current edge. Answer. Correct answer. B. Increased risk of co-buildup, odors, and airborne pathogen transmission. Increased ventilation to meet minimum. Explanation. ASHRAE 62.1 establishes minimum to ensure adequate dilution of indoor pollutants and pathogen control. Below these rates, occupants may experience headaches, fatigue, odors, and increased risk of respiratory infections. Reducing ventilation C. Worsens IAQ. Energy efficiency D. Should not compromise health. Corrective action involves increasing ventilation to ASHRAE minimums, balancing health and energy. Question 19. Taking into account the growing trend in green building standards like LEED, how should HVAC systems be designed to optimize IAQ while achieving energy efficiency credits? A. Maximize outdoor air ventilation at all times regardless of occupancy. B. Incorporate demand-controlled ventilation, efficient filtration, and low-emission materials to balance IAQ and energy use. C. Use only natural ventilation to eliminate mechanical system energy consumption. D. Rely on high humidity levels to reduce airborne pathogen viability. Answer. Correct answer. B. Incorporate demand-controlled ventilation, efficient filtration, and low-emission materials to balance IAQ and energy use. Explanation. Lead credits for IAQ and energy efficiency emphasize smart ventilation strategies like DCV to supply fresh air based on occupancy combined with MERV 13 plus filters and selecting low VOC materials. Maximal ventilation A. Wastes energy. Sole natural ventilation C. Is impractical and inconsistent. High humidity D. Can promote mold and worsen IAQ. Integrated design optimizes occupant health and sustainability. Question 20. Several experts suggest that in multi-tenant office buildings, the interrelationship between HVAC zoning and IAQ is critical. Mr. Evans notices complaints about odors traveling between zones. What is the best HVAC design practice to prevent cross-contamination while maintaining proper ventilation? A. Use a single HVAC zone with high recirculation for energy savings. B. Maintain proper pressure differentials with dedicated supply and return air for each zone to prevent air leakage. C. Eliminate all outdoor air to reduce odor transmission. D. Increase supply air velocity in all zones to overwhelm contaminant migration. Answer. Correct answer. B. Maintain proper pressure differentials with dedicated supply and return air for each zone to prevent air leakage. Explanation. Proper zoning with balanced pressure control prevents air movement from one tenant space to another, reducing odor and contaminant transfer. ASHRAE 62.1 recommends zoned HVAC designs with controlled airflows and pressure differentials. Single zone systems A. Risk cross-contamination, eliminating outdoor air. C. Harms IAQ, increasing supply velocity. D. Can cause discomfort and turbulence but doesn't control airflow direction. Effective zoning controls both comfort and IAQ. Question 21. In a context of a newly built commercial office where occupants report eye irritation and headaches is to turn a suspect's elevated VOC levels from new furniture and finishes. Which strategy aligns best with IAQ principles to reduce VOC concentrations effectively? A. Increase outdoor air ventilation and use low VOC materials to reduce emissions. B. Seal all windows to prevent outdoor air pollution from entering. C. Install HEPA filters in the HVAC system to capture VOC molecules. D. Rely solely on electronic air cleaners to reduce VOC levels. Answer. Correct answer. Increase outdoor air ventilation and use low VOC materials to reduce emissions. Explanation. VOC emissions from new materials are a primary indoor air pollutant. Increasing outdoor air dilution per ASHRAE 62.1 and selecting low VOC furnishings per LEED standards effectively reduce VOC concentrations. HEPA filters. C. Are designed for particulates, not gases like VOCs. Sealing windows. B. Restricts ventilation, worsening buildup. Electronic air cleaners. D. Generally do not remove VOC gases effectively. Source control and ventilation remain best practice. Question 22. When considering ventilation effectiveness in a hospital operating room, ISPARC notes that despite high air change rates, microbial contamination persists. What is the most probable cause and how should it be addressed? A. Airflow patterns are disrupted, redesigned to laminar airflow and ensure positive pressurization relative to adjacent spaces. B. Increase outdoor air intake to maximum levels regardless of airflow distribution. C. Use only HEPA filtration without addressing ventilation design. D. Reduce humidity to below 20% to inhibit microbial growth. Answer. Correct answer. Airflow patterns are disrupted, redesigned to laminar airflow and ensure positive pressurization relative to adjacent spaces. Explanation. Operating rooms require controlled airflow patterns, laminar flow, and positive pressure to prevent microbial ingress from less clean adjacent areas per ASHRAE 170. Simply increasing air change rates B without proper airflow distribution is ineffective. HEPA filters C are necessary, is sufficient alone without proper ventilation design. Extremely low humidity D is uncomfortable and can damage mucous membranes. ASHRAE recommends 30–60%. Proper airflow and pressurization are critical. Question 23. Given the circumstances that Mr. Garcia is evaluating, a building with frequent occupant complaints of odors and stuffiness and CO levels are below 800 ppm, which factor most likely contributes to the poor IAQ despite adequate ventilation. A. High concentrations of indoor chemical pollutants such as VOx or formaldehyde. B. Insufficient mechanical ventilation causing CO buildup. C. Excessive outdoor air ventilation diluting indoor pollutants. D. Malfunctioning temperature sensors causing thermal discomfort. Answer. Correct answer A. High concentrations of indoor chemical pollutants such as VOx or formaldehyde. Explanation. Low CO indicates adequate ventilation, so odors and stuffiness likely stem from chemical pollutants like VOx or formaldehyde off-gassing from materials. Ventilation effectively dilutes CO but may not be sufficient if source control of chemicals is lacking. Options B and C do not explain low CO with poor IAQ. Thermal discomfort. D. May affect comfort but not directly cause odors or stuffiness. Controlling sources is key. Question 24. When faced with the challenge of remediating mold growth in a commercial building is new and must prioritize steps according to HEPA protocols, what is the recommended sequence to effectively control mold? A. Dry the affected area, remove moldy materials, and then fix water intrusion sources. B. Remove moldy materials, fix moisture sources, and clean remaining surfaces. C. Fix moisture intrusion, remove moldy materials, and then increase ventilation. D. Increase ventilation, remove moldy materials, and then apply biocides. Answer. Correct answer. C. Fix moisture intrusion, remove moldy materials, and then increase ventilation. Explanation. Moisture control is the first critical step to prevent mold recurrence. HEPA mold remediation guidelines. After stopping water intrusion, removal of contaminated materials and cleaning follows. Ventilation may assist drying but cannot replace source control. Option A. Delays fixing the root cause, risking regrowth. Biocides. D. A supplemental, not primary remediation. The sequence ensures mold elimination and prevention. Question 25. In a scenario where Mr. Kim detects excessive particulate matter PM.5 indoors near a busy urban road, which of the following HVAC design strategies is most effective for protecting indoor occupants from outdoor fine particles? A. Increase outdoor air intake to flush out indoor pollutants. B. Utilize high MERV rated filters and ensure airtight building envelope to reduce particle infiltration. C. Disable mechanical ventilation to avoid drawing in outdoor particles. D. Rely on natural ventilation to maintain indoor air quality. Answer. Correct answer. B. Utilize high MERV rated filters and ensure airtight building envelope to reduce particle infiltration. Explanation. Outdoor PM.5 can penetrate indoors. Using MERV 13 or higher filters traps fine particles. A sealed envelope reduces infiltration, increasing outdoor air. Without filtration worsens indoor PM. Disabling ventilation. C. Compromises IAQ and comfort. Natural ventilation. D. Worsen exposure if outdoor air is polluted. Combining filtration and airtightness is recommended by ASHRAE and HEPA for urban settings. Question 26. Throughout the course of the diagnostic inspection, Lewis finds that a building's duct leakage exceeds 30% of total system airflow. What impact does this have on IAQ and energy efficiency, and what remediation should be undertaken? Increased outdoor air infiltration improves IAQ but wastes energy. The ducts should be sealed. B. Leaks cause unconditioned air entry, potentially carrying contaminants and increasing energy costs. The duct sealing and balancing are required. C. Duct leakage reduces supply air velocity, which improves occupant comfort. D. Leakage improves natural ventilation and should be maintained. Answer. Correct answer. B. Leaks cause unconditioned air entry, potentially carrying contaminants and increasing energy costs. The duct sealing and balancing are required. Explanation. Leaky ducts allow infiltration of dust, mold, spores, and unconditioned air, degrading IAQ and increasing heating cooling loads, energy waste. ASHRAE 62.1 and HEPA recommend duct sealing as standard practice. Increased infiltration A. is uncontrolled and harmful. Reduced velocity C. is usually detrimental. Leakage D. is not a substitute for proper ventilation and filtration. Question 27. For the purpose of evaluating humidity control, Mr. Singh is assessing the use of desiccant dehumidifiers in a museum housing sensitive artifacts. What are the advantages and potential concerns associated with this technology? A. Desiccant dehumidifiers provide precise humidity control without increasing temperature, but may require maintenance to prevent microbial growth. B. They add moisture to the air and increase relative humidity. C. They are ineffective at low humidity levels and cause mold growth. D. Desiccant systems remove particulate matter but do not affect humidity. Answer. Correct answer A. Desiccant dehumidifiers provide precise humidity control without increasing temperature but may require maintenance to prevent microbial growth. Explanation. Desiccant dehumidifiers absorb moisture without adding heat, ideal for museums. However, stagnant water in the system can harbor microbes, necessitating routine cleaning per ASHRAE guidance. Options B and C misrepresent their function. Particulate removal D is unrelated. Filtration handles particles. Proper operation supports preservation and IAQ. Question 20. In an effort to reduce airborne transmission of infectious diseases, ISCLA considers increasing air changes per hour in an elderly care facility. What are the key considerations and potential drawbacks of this approach? A. Increasing it reduces airborne pathogen concentration but may increase energy use and cause thermal discomfort if not balanced. B. Higher always reduces energy consumption due to improved airflow. C. Increasing it eliminates the need for filtration and source control. D. Higher guarantees complete elimination of airborne pathogens. Answer. Correct answer. Increasing it reduces airborne pathogen concentration but may increase energy use and cause thermal discomfort if not balanced. Explanation. Higher ventilation dilutes airborne pathogens, reducing infection risk. ASHRAE 62.1. However, increased airflow can raise energy costs and cause drafts or temperature swings if HVAC systems are not properly designed, which alone cannot replace filtration or source control. Absolute pathogen elimination D is unrealistic. Multi-layered control is best practice. Question 29. Taking into account the interrelationship between thermal comfort and IAQ, Mr. Jones is tasked with resolving complaints of occupant fatigue in a sealed office during summer. The HVAC system maintains temperature and RH within ASHRAE 55 limits, yet complaints persist. What other IAQ factors should be investigated? A. Elevated indoor CO or VOC concentrations indicating inadequate ventilation or chemical sources. B. Increasing air velocity to above recommended limits. C. Reducing outdoor air intake to improve thermal comfort. D. Adding humidifiers to increase RH beyond 70%. Answer. Correct answer A. Elevated indoor CO or VOC concentrations indicating inadequate ventilation or chemical sources. Explanation. Even with proper temperature and RH, poor ventilation leading to high CO or VOC causes fatigue and discomfort. ASHRAE 62.1 recommends maintaining fresh air to prevent such issues. Increasing air velocity. B. May cause drafts, not solve fatigue. Reducing outdoor air. C. Worsens AQ. RH above 70%. D. Risks mold growth and discomfort. Ventilation and pollutant control are essential for occupant well-being. Question 30. Based on the information that Wilson has detected mold growth behind drywall due to persistent condensation in an unventilated attic, what integrated preventive measures should be implemented to mitigate this IAQ hazard effectively? A. Improve attic ventilation, control indoor humidity, and apply vapor barriers where appropriate. B. Increase attic insulation thickness only. C. Seal attic vents to prevent outdoor air infiltration. D. Rely solely on air filtration in living spaces to remove mold spores. Answer. Correct answer A. Improve attic ventilation, control indoor humidity, and apply vapor barriers where appropriate. Explanation. Mold growth in attics often results from moisture accumulation due to poor ventilation and humidity control. Ventilation removes moisture-laden air, vapor barriers limit moisture migration, and controlling indoor humidity reduces condensation. Simply adding insulation, B, or sealing vents, C, can trap moisture, worsen mold. Filtration, D, does not address mold source. Integrated moisture management is essential.